Okay, summer school chemistry peeps. This is the second video in stoichiometry, and in the last video, it kind of recapped molar mass and moles and mole to mole ratios and how to go from grams to moles and moles to grams. So now we're going to talk about actual and theoretical yields and percent yield. So your percent yield is your actual yield over your theoretical yield times 100. Percent is always out of 100. When you're calculating percent of anything, you always multiply by 100. So that being said, we're going to work through a problem and we're going to break down what it says. So here's my problem. Here's my formula. Actual over theoretical times 100 equals percent yield. And then the problem says a chemist in the lab was able to produce 1.42 grams of a substance. Calculated mathematically, however, shows that he should have been able to produce 1.75 grams. Calculate percent yield. So we have two numbers in here. We have a 1.42 and we have a 1.75. It says the chemist was able to produce. That means he actually did it. He was able to produce it. If I'm able to bake cookies, I have cookies in front of me, right? So this guy was able to produce this much. That's his actual value. Hopefully that makes sense. It says calculated mathematically, however, he should have been able to. That means that he didn't, but he should have been able to. Math was on his side for that. And so that would be your theoretical. So when we're plugging it in, right here, actual over theoretical times 100. So my actual value is the 1.42. My theoretical is going to be the 1.75. And then I just plug them in over here. So my actual goes on top, my theoretical goes on bottom. And then you do that division, then you multiply by 100 to get your percent. So all you have to do to work out the problem. So hopefully that's starting to make sense for percent yield. Now then, if you have more questions, you can check out the notes that I've posted and see if they help you out. The next thing we're going to talk about is limiting reactants and excess reactants. And the best way to think about this is with cooking. So cooking is chemistry. Baking is chemistry. It's just a different type. It's the more delicious type. Some teachers do a lab where you can like make ice cream and eat it in the lab, and not eat it in the lab, but you make it and then you can take it out with you. And they have to use all disposable stuff so that way it's not anything pre-used and gets contaminated. Anyway, all that to say, food is chemistry. Whenever you eat it, when you digest it, it's chemistry. And whenever you make it. So if I'm going to make a batch of cookies, which I might actually do a second video where I really do list out the ingredients and have them out in front of me for a batch of cookies. But my cookie recipe that I just use the Nestle Toll House one on the back of the semi-sweet chocolate morsels. And it calls for 2 eggs, 2 sticks of butter, 3/4 cups sugar, 3/4 cups brown sugar, 2 1/4 cup of flour, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and a couple other things I'm forgetting. There's some salt in there. I use salted butter though, so fun side note. But those are all my stuff. And I can get out exactly what I need out of my refrigerator. Exactly what I need. So if it says 2 eggs, I can open up the egg carton and grab out 2 eggs. Now then, do I have extra eggs in the egg carton that are not going to be used? Yes, because I have more than what the recipe calls for. So that is an excess. Now then, in chemistry, the reaction's going to keep on going until something runs out. So hypothetically, I would keep baking cookies until I ran out of an ingredient. If I only have 4 sticks of butter and I have a dozen eggs and I have a lot of everything else, my butter, I could make 1 batch and that would take up 2. And then I could make a second batch and that would take up 2 sticks of butter for a total of 4, and then I would run out. The eggs though, according to the eggs, if I have 12 eggs and each batch calls for 2, I can end up making 6 batches. So the eggs let me make 6, but the butter only lets me make 2. Guess what? I can only make 2 because the second I run out of butter, even though I have enough eggs, I can't make any more cookies. So hopefully that's kind of making sense. It's the same process though with a chemical reaction. And so you are going to run out of something first. every single time. And then you're going to always have something left over. Unless you measure out exact measurements like we do in baking to where you know you have exactly enough, you're going to run out of something and you're going to have something left over. And so the thing that you run out of first is your limiting reactant. It's limiting you. It's stopping you from making more. Okay, and then the thing you have left over is your excess reactant. You have it in excess. You have more than what you need. That's what excess means. And so those are the definitions. And now we're going to work some problems. I'll probably go over definitions again in the next video just to make sure you get it, you know? So anyway, hopefully this was helpful. Yeah.